Hello! So this video is to help you with the workflow from moving with a finished model in Maya into Substance Painter to paint on your model and then take those textures out of Substance Painter into Unity to create a material that then gets applied to your model. So I've created this beautiful sculpture in Maya. Note how it's made up of two different objects. So I want those to be together later, but for now when I'm texturing them, I want them to have different textures. So notice also I haven't kind of cleaned up my model to get it ready to go yet. So the first step we want to do when we are getting a model ready to go from Maya into Substance Painter is we want to lay out its UVs. And this isn't necessary, but I want to go over into the UV editing window so we could see what happens. So these are my default UVs. They're like not looking super great, so I want to go to create automatic UVs. This editor is, or this menu is also available up here at the top. Create UV automatic. So I'm just going to do automatic UVs. Great. And I also want to do it for my sphere as well. So I'll go to object mode, grab my sphere. So my sphere already has some nice UVs because I didn't actually change it, but if I had done some modeling on it, I would want to lay out those UVs as well. But it looks good for now. So lay out those UVs. And once you do that, you're going to want to freeze your transformations so that all these numbers get zeroed out. So I'm going to select both objects, say modify, freeze transformations. And then my last step is to delete history, which is edit, delete by type, history. Now, I'm going to save my file, model, just as a Maya file. This file is what I'll bring into Unity later. I'm also going to select my objects and say file. Because I have two different objects, I want to make sure that I apply two different materials so I can have these material layers in Substance. So I'm going to open up the Hypershade. This is the window in Maya where you can create materials. Now Lambert 1 is our default material, and so I'm going to create one more Lambert for the other one, and it can just keep its name Lambert 2, or you can rename it. So I can rename it to be sphere. So Lambert 1 is going to go on the cube object and Lambert 2 sphere. So if I select my sphere, I'm going to right click and say assign material to selection. And then this one, by default, every object has Lambert 1 assigned to it, so I can just leave it. So I want to make as many Lamberts as necessary for the different pieces of my object. Now that I've done that, I will save my file, and I will also export out an FBX file for Substance Painter. Now that that's done, I can move into Substance. So I'll go File, New. Make sure that your template is PBR, Metallic Roughness, Algorithmic. Select your file. Mine's on my desktop. Great. Select my model. Click OK. Give it a second to import. And I have my model here. Very beautiful. So notice how there are these texture layers. So I can either kind of turn on and off the visibility, and I can select each one to draw on that map in particular. So I want to start with my cube object. So let's say anytime I want to add some kind of texture, I always want to begin with a fill layer. So adding my fill layer. With this fill layer, if I scroll down in my properties, I can either select a pre-made resource, or I could just set a base color. So maybe I want this like shiny cobalt here, so I click there, select my cobalt, and then it assigns that here. And then now I want to choose the texture that's going to be the detail texture. So I could choose a different one. So I'll add another fill layer. On this one, I'll choose another one. So maybe I'll use this like coated metal. And now this is over the top. So I'll want to erase away parts of this so that I can reveal the shiny metal underneath. So because I want this to stay and then just reveal what's below, I'm going to add a white mask. And if I click on this mask, I can select it for painting. So I will come in here. I'm painting black onto the mask, which is letting me reveal pieces of my metal. Notice how I can either paint here or I can paint on this side. So either way, it'll let me paint. Let's see if we can figure out which side I just painted on. Might be the top. Oh no, there it is. Yay. Okay. So we have a nice like shiny circle on the side here. Okay, great. If I want to then paint on my sphere, I would select that layer, and then now I can add in fill layers here. So maybe I want my sphere to be red, kind of shiny plastic. Beautiful. And then maybe I want to reveal yellow plastic. And maybe I want it to be primarily red and just reveal the yellow, so I can add a black mask on this one. Black will then hide all of the yellow. And then I can paint to reveal bits of my yellow plastic texture. Okay. Alright, you can play with the settings of your brush here so it's more or less opaque, and really kind of work with it. And once you've gotten to the point where you like what you've done in Substance Painter, it's then ready to export out the maps so you can make your materials in Unity. So I will go to File, Export Textures. And we want to make sure we export for all of the texture sets that we're working with. And I'm going to change up here the location that I'm saving to. So I'm going to go to my desktop and we'll say textures here, so it will export to that folder. And I'll click export. It takes just a second to write them all out. Okay. And this emissive warning, this is okay. You can just ignore that. Once we've exported it out from Substance, it's then time to go into Unity. So I'm just going to go into a new scene here. And I need to import in my my file. So if I go into my Finder, find my desktop, I can find that model file. I'll drag that in. And I will also drag in the textures folder that I exported in from Substance. So yeah, give it a sec to import. There's my model, and I'll also drag in my textures file. Give it a sec. Okay, cool. So I know that I'm going to need two different materials, one for each mesh object. So I'm going to go ahead and create those. If I right click down here, say create material, we can call this like box material. And I'll make another one sphere material. Okay. With my sphere material selected, I'm going to go into my textures folder. Notice how it switched my window, so I'm going to actually lock my inspector so it can't change, and then open this folder. So my albedo channel is this color channel. The metallic is, let me see, here we have this metallic. The normal map here. The height map here. And the detail mask here. Alright. I'm going to go back into my assets, unlock my inspector to switch to the box material, and then lock it again. Go into my textures. So the box material, here's the base color. There's the metallic. Here's the normal map. Here's the height map. And here's the roughness. So I've created these two materials now. And now we're ready to assign them to our box object. So I'll import in my model. And then the way that you assign these materials is by just dragging and dropping them on. So drag and drop it here, and then drag and drop it there. And you'll notice that we have all of our materials. Yay! Congratulations! You did it! Alright, so that's how you go from Maya into Substance Painter into Unity.